Hello there folks and welcome to Spoils of Pandaria on flexible difficulty in the Siege of Orgrimmar. This is an interesting fight because you don't fight, well it is a boss, but you don't fight a boss. So basically the boss consists of 4 different rooms. 2 rooms on the right side and 2 rooms on the left side. Your raid group, doesn't matter if it's a 10-man group or a 25-man group or if you're playing flexible, you have to split down the line so that you are 2 different groups. Each group should have 1 tank and 1 healer and the rest should be DPS. And preferably, if you can, you should have someone, either a mage or a shaman, so that you have either heroism or time warp on each side. As a mage speciality, I just show you here that instead of using cauterize, which I'm using in basically every other encounter, this time I'm using cold snap. As I said in our previous video, cauterize gives me an extra life, so to say, but cold snap gives me 2 ice blocks. And I usually prefer cold snap in this encounter. Both group jumps down in 1 room on each side of the starting area. And in each box there is an ad, or a couple of ads. In the first box we have a ghost panda, and he has an ability that basically he targets a player and then runs towards them and stuns them. I don't think you can avoid this, you just have to endure it. And I'm not sure what happens if you go into the flowers, but I'm guessing you might get stunned or just taking damage. So I'd advise you to stand out of them. I've never run into them, so I don't know what happens. Then we break the big box, and in the big box we kind of have a mini boss. This mini boss has quite a lot of life and takes quite a while to get down. But if you're on my side, you shouldn't use heroism yet. You should wait until you get into the next room. We also have these stone statues, and they don't have that much health and they don't do that much damage, but what they do is that they run around and they hit a little area with their hammer, and obviously you shouldn't stand in the area in which they are hitting. We also have these tiny dog statues, and they don't do much damage either. They die pretty quickly, so you just have to take them down. Over here we have a yellow ghost panda, and I have no idea what his abilities is. Well, he throws some kind of ale at you, and I don't think you can move from that, so well, I guess you should just take him down as quickly as possible. Then we have urns, and it's really important to take these urns down. The electric urn throws out a bunch of electric orbs, and these orbs float around for a while and then they explode. And you have to take the urn down pretty quickly, because otherwise the whole room is filled with electric stuff. We also have a shadow urn, and I'm not really sure what that does. I think it's linked to the ad that's near it, and I think that when you destroy it, the ad disappears. So we usually take the urn down pretty quickly, because I'm guessing that he has some kind of ability that might hurt if you don't take the urn down. Oh boy, then we have Mr. Robot, and Mr. Robot is pretty important that you take down, because he has an ability that's called the Matter Scramble. And what he does is that he targets 2 areas with a red beam, and 1 player has to stand in each beam. And when you stand in them, you swap places. I think it's pretty important that you are only standing 1 person inside of them. I'm not sure what happens if you're 2 inside of them. I guess you take a lot of damage. And it's important that you stand inside of them, because if you don't, the raid takes a big hit of damage. And if 2 players stand inside of them and swap places, basically nothing happens except that you swap places. So the anima golem, it's pretty important that you take him down fairly quickly. Usually the tanks know which boxes to open. As you only have 1 healer on each side, I'm guessing the healers have a pretty tough time in keeping everyone alive. But then again, it's kind of like a hardcore instance. Right now we are 11 players, so 1 side has 6 players and 1 side has 5 players. So it's basically like a tiny instance. And then we have another big mini boss, and it's so we mainly focus our fire on that one. You can see that every once in a while I switch focus to the stone golems and just place a dot on them. And you can see that when you're standing inside the affected area in which they hammer, you take some damage and then you fly away a bit. So basically you just move away from them and get them down pretty quickly. In the top middle of the screen you can see that there is a percent thing where it's kind of a power thing, and every time you kill an ad, the ad's power is added to the bar. And what both groups need to do in each room is to get 100% or 50-50. And when one room is done, you're supposed to run to the big lever over there and pull it. A voice will then appear and say that, oh, you're finished one room, but you have to finish the next room also, because if you don't, everything will explode. Our group was done first, and we're just waiting for the next group to finish. If they don't finish in time, everything explodes and we have to start over again. As I said before, this is flexible, so the difficulty is not that hard. When the second group is done, you run into the next room. The people in the other group that is on the left side are now running into a room that is pretty much identical to the one that we just ran out of. So they will face the same mobs or ads as we just killed. And the room that we are running into has the mobs that they just killed. You want to save your heroism or time warp to this room. This time when we played, someone accidentally pressed heroism when we didn't need it. Or normal we might have been fucked, but this time it wasn't that bad. Some mobs, I'm not quite sure which one, puts big yellow blobs on the ground and you're not supposed to stand in them. This big mini-boss, who looks like a giant insect, puts bombs on your raid party. And every once in a while a player have to run out and place the bombs in a faraway corner in the direction in which the tank is not planning on leading the rest of the raid. And that ability is really fucking annoying. The bombs stay on the ground for quite a while, and they also have a little area of effect around them, so if you go too close to them they will explode, and when they explode they take a pretty big chunk of your health. I am targeted by a bomb, but you can see that I have a little action button pop up. And when I press that, I leave the bombs. But honestly, I'm fucking terrible at leaving bombs. So what I do is that I wait until the proper amount of time and then I ice block. Because the bombs explode upon me and I'm immune from the damage. The reason to why I'm horrible at placing bombs is you don't just place one bomb, you place 3 bombs. So you have to click that thing 3 times and put down the bombs, and I don't know, I'm just terrible at it. Obviously this is why I choose cold snap, so I can get an instant ice block. But this time I had a debuff that's called hypothermia, and when I have the debuff up, I cannot use my ice block until the debuff falls off from me. And this time I was fucking lucky, because you can see it, it's basically, I'm just clicking like a maniac on the ice block, hoping to God that I won't fucking explode. And just exactly almost on the second, I get up a new ice block, and then it exploded. This time I was lucky. At another point I might have exploded and died. At the second time I should have just placed the bombs and not have used ice block, but as you saw, I was fucking lucky that I didn't explode. Then we have a couple of other ads, and what they do is that they put out those big tornado thingies, and obviously do not stand in the tornado thingies and do not stand in the yellow puddles. And then basically just kill everything that you see. As I said, I'm not really sure about their hidden abilities, so to say, but everything that's moving around and that you can actually see that, yeah, I should probably not stand in this, well, move from that shit and then just shoot everything you see. I think that's the rule of this room anyway. And then trust your tank that they opened right boxes. And we were done first this time also. So we're done, and I basically just click the lever, and then we get a little message saying that, oh, well, you're done, but you have to have 2 rooms to complete the simulation or blah blah. And when they're done, you don't explode because you win.
System resetting. Don't turn the power off or the whole thing will probably explode.
And that is Spoils of Pandaria on flexible difficulty.